Let's be honest, naming things can be really difficult. Hello there everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Here with another quick tips for DMs. Today we're going to be talking about naming things, because let's be honest, it's not always the easiest thing. I mean, even for myself, I've been at this for over 20 years now, 22, 23. So I've been at this for over 2 decades at this point is what it boils down to. And on top of writing, reading history books, reading so many other kinds of books, I've learned a fair bit, and it's gotten quite a bit easier for me to come up with names for things even on the fly. But I still have to be honest, it's not always easy, even though it feels like most of the time it is, and I have moments where I just can't come up with a good answer or something that doesn't feel like a good answer. So that's why today I'm going to relay some tips, tricks, ideas, and also give you some examples of names, and also why you should just kind of relax and take it a little bit easier. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on that incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share this video far and wide. But now, let's start taking this in stride and start delivering the advice that I have for you all today. And we'll start off with the last thing I said, and that is, take it a little bit easier on yourself. Try not to stress about it too much. You know, it's a paradox trying to relax, but really, honestly, you're probably overthinking things and stressing yourself out. And stressing yourself out makes it much harder to think. And sometimes, best thing to do is just walk away from it and come back a little bit later and try to tackle it, or create everything else around the thing that you are trying to name. Don't let yourself get hung up on that one particular thing. I say that. I know how hard it is to move away from the thing you're stuck on, believe me. But sometimes just setting it down for a moment and building up everything else around it can help to really get those creative juices flowing, help you relax, because it feels nice making progress. It feels nice being able to move forward. But then, after you've done that, it may well come to you a little bit easier. And another reason why I say to not stress it is because even if the name is kind of dumb names for places exist, or at least things that seem pretty dumb. Like, as an example, Little Rock, Arkansas. It's literally just named Little Rock. Now, is that a dumb name? No, not really, not necessarily, but it's also not something grandiose. It doesn't feel cool or anything like that, or at least it doesn't strike you that way initially. It's just called Little Rock. Now, why is it named that? Well, maybe because somebody found a small rock there that was kind of cool looking when they settled down and they just decided to call the place Little Rock. Maybe it was an ironic name at one point in time because it was a massive boulder and somebody cracked a joke saying, it's just a little rock over there. And it just sort of stuck. They just kept referring to that spot as Little Rock, and then the town that grew up next to it just adopted that name. I don't know the history of it, but either of those sounds equally plausible, and you can do the same thing. If you've named a river, a town or city built up next to that river could just be named after it. And there's plenty of places like that all over the world that have just ended up adopting the name of a geographic feature that was nearby. And you could easily do that very easily in your own settings. And the same thing goes for people. People acquire nicknames and titles through all kinds of things. Nicknames just happen by things that they do or things that ended up happening to them or around them. Like somebody getting the nickname Brick. Why? Is it because they're tough as a brick? They clobbered people with a brick? No, it's just that they were always stuck with the job of carrying bricks around everywhere, and so the name, hey, Brick, go get the bricks. Go back with your people over there. Just something like that. It's something stupid like that. And it could just end up sticking because it annoys the other person, so everybody just kept calling them Brick, and then eventually, well, Brick got sick of their shit and decided to do something about it using the bricks. And so the name stuck, and it went from a stupid joke to something with a little bit more of a threatening reputation around it. And they started to live up to the name instead of being stuck with it. And there's other things too, people acquire nicknames like that and can change how those nicknames feel, or even like socially assigned titles by the actions that they undertake. A player in a 5th edition campaign I've been running has been stuck with the nickname Kinslayer. It's something that hasn't come up a lot yet because it's a recent thing, but she was being put on trial for murdering her brother. Now, the action was in self-defense. Her brother was going to kill her horse. She is a paladin, and he was going to take her back to her mother, who is a priestess of Shar, and the Istrin is a paladin of Selune, so there's already a lot of opposition there. There's already a lot of bad blood and contention, but she ended up killing her brother in the fight. And so now, because other forces connected with this priestess of Shar are trying to get Istrin pinned down in one place so that they can actually deal with her and get her isolated from her adventuring party, these allies that she's built up around her, they've brought her to trial for allegedly murdering her brother, leaving out a fair bit of detail, but they've still tried to arrest her. So she's gotten the nickname and title of Kinslayer, so Istrin the Kinslayer, or Istrin Kinslayer. However it ends up getting played out, it's a nickname that's been assigned based off of this circumstance. Wasn't anything I had initially planned for this campaign, but with how things kind of played out, it seemed like a cool idea, so it's something that is going to start sticking, most likely, unless something happens that makes me think, yeah, that might go away or be replaced with something else. So any number of things can come up like that. And also, another example of dumb nicknames just kind of coming up, there was a YouTube video I was watching. Don't remember the guy's name, but he used to be a member of the Mafia out in New York. I forget which era it was, like the 80s or 70s, something like that. But, he gave an example of a guy who had a nickname called Chickenhead. Why was he called Chickenhead? Well, because he'd practice his marksmanship by shooting the heads off of chickens. So everybody just started calling him Chickenhead because he kept shooting the heads off of chickens. So any number of weird little nicknames can crop up like that. And let's give you an example off the top of my head. Let's go with Lutz the Knife. Half-orc, he's a rogue, he's also a fighter, he's a big, muscly kind of character. He supplies muscle to a crime syndicate, a thieves guild. He's a little bit of extra muscle there for helping with collecting protection money, helps run a protection racket. Now, why is he called Lutz the Knife? Well, because the guy just never seems to have any damn silverware in his house other than a knife. He doesn't have any wooden spoons or forks, he just has a couple of knives, and that's it. That's all he does to get by. He uses it as a can opener, or cutting into bags of food, and then just sticking the food with the end of his knife, and then just munching on it as is. Just very efficient, to the point, even brutish if you want to think of it that way. He doesn't really go in for a lot of the finer creature comforts. He's just a very roughshod living kind of character. And that kind of thing, is it the most glamorous thing? Is it the most intriguing? No, but it's a little bit of extra detail and backstory to this character through their nickname, and it paints a pretty decent picture. And it also feels a little bit more alive in a way, something that is active and has developed over time and has its own little bit of history behind it. So when it comes to naming things, try not to stress it, because silly names come up all the time, and the more you just do it, the better you will get at it after a while. You'll start coming up with incredible nicknames for things, another example I heard was on Z Bashu's videos, it was an example of this fighter character who was nicknamed Twice King because he was kinged twice over. There's so many little things and ways that things can crop up like that. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know your own thoughts and ideas or tips, tricks that you might have for your fellow DMs and players out there in the comments down below so we can all engage in discussion. And if you've made it this far, why not go down there and hit the subscribe button, because you must have enjoyed something up to this point, so why not subscribe and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so much for your time, good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.